You are listening to the She Free Thinks podcast, where women have courageous conversations, speak their truth, tell their stories, and keep it real. I am your host, Coach Kat, and I help women unpack their shit, refill, and walk it out. It is my hope that this podcast will inspire you to show up for yourself, put on your big girl panties, own the fuck out of your life, and write your own narrative. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the She Free Thinks podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Coach Kat, and I teach women how to unpack their shit and discover their gold. I am super excited to have a special guest that I met, guess where? On TikTok, Dorian Beach. Hi, Dorian. Welcome.
Hi.
To the podcast.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so glad to meet you, actually, face to face.
I know. Just, seeing each other on short video clips.
Right. Which I love, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you inspire me every day. I'm like, I gotta go work out. Darn it.
Oh my gosh, but I have a confession to make about working out. Those are actually old post videos that I repost. I have really fallen by the wayside with working out, so I am trying to get back into it. Like exercising for me is more so for my mental health and well-being. But life has just thrown so many curveballs until I'm just trying to reacclimate and get myself together. So you understand that.
Yeah, I do.
So enough about my little stuff. Let's talk about you. Your bio is amazing. I am not going to go through it. I am going to let you go through your bio for us. I was like, oh, well, damn, she is a badass.
I look like a badass on paper.
You are a badass in life, so go ahead.
I mean, in the bio, I have done everything that I say. Let's see. Just really quickly, my background was I was a musical theater actress, and that's what I trained to do. And I did that for a number of years. Did comedy, I did improv, I did commercials, I was a model, yada, yada, yada. I was a trained singer. And I thought my son was gonna... That's
okay.
And I, long story short, and I traveled the world. After 9/11, I traveled for 3 years researching microlending, primarily for women in other countries. I came back, I had my son, and as a single mom, I then had this calling and wanted to get into film and television to basically document stories and be a documentarian. So I moved to LA as a single mom.
Wow.
With a little baby in 2007. And then, as I was telling you, before we started recording, that began a journey of basically I was all of my survival skills that I had picked up as a kid with a really pretty tough childhood. I'm an only child of a single mom who was very much a narcissist and borderline. She was mentally ill and abandoned by dad. So I was very much, a lot of bad stuff happened. Neglect and molestation. And I mean, as I was saying to you before, like everything that could happen to a woman, I've gone through. So I overcompensated throughout my life by putting myself out there as an actress, and that's how I got the love, and that's how I mean, that was my calling. I loved it. I feel like I was born to do it, but I'd never dealt with, the trauma. And I think the trauma is the root of everything.
Woo, yes.
We show up on this planet and we start out like a fresh, clean slate, and then life happens, and some more challenging than others. And I don't. One of my favorite sayings is, "God only gives us what we can handle," but I just wish He didn't trust me so much.
Right.
because the universe or God or whatever you believe in just was like, all right, just like, here, do the, overcome this. And to be fair, I victimized myself. I took over the trauma that I was victimized as a child, but then as an adult, through my choices, I kept victimizing myself.
And thank you for saying that, because I think that is a lot of our stories, is that we end up victimizing ourselves because deep inside, we really don't feel good enough. We don't feel deserving. Well, if I was treated this way as a child, I must be trash. So that self-victimization definitely is what I think a lot of us go through. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, I think that we, as kids, we pick up, survival skills. And for me, it was just like I was being I was being abused at home, and just trying to go out in the world and never feeling good enough, never feeling like it was enough. Like I was never enough. I was never pretty enough. I was never thin enough. I was never talented enough. I was never enough. And then also I had undiagnosed ADHD. And I was made fun of, and everybody called me a dumb blonde.
Oh, oof.
Throughout I'm not. I'm like hella smart. Like if I do say something, like, I'm smart. Wait a minute. Ignore the hair color. I'm smart. But yeah, and I was diagnosed in my 40s.
Like me, I was diagnosed. I'm 49, and I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 48. No. I'm lying. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 47. I was diagnosed as autistic at 48, and diagnosed with the math learning disability at 48 as well. So, and I'm 49. I turned 49 in October of last year.
I'm 50. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm curious, when they diagnosed you as autistic, did you like pursue that? Did you say like something's up? I'm not sure what's going on.
Once I was diagnosed with ADHD, there was something that I was like, something else is going on here. And believe it or not, it was a meme that really piqued my interest. And it said something about a lot of people with ADHD are autistic. And so I was like, But then I started thinking, I don't think I'm autistic. So I'm just going to call and schedule an appointment and, for an assessment with my neuropsychologist to rule it out. Because see, once something gets here, I can't rest until I get an answer, or I realize that I'm just not going to get an answer, but I'm going to, that brain, you know how it is. And so I scheduled an assessment, really believing that I wasn't autistic. But when I got my results back and I found out that I'm on the spectrum, I was like, what the fuck?
What are their criteria though? I mean, that's so like, that's fascinating. I mean,
Yeah. And then the same for my children. So after I'm a mother of five. I have my oldest is 27. So 27, 22, 18, 16, and 14. I have four girls and one boy.
wow.
So it was very important for me that after I found out that I have ADHD and I have a math learning disability and I'm autistic, I said, I
Mhm.
don't want my children to spend as many years as I did questioning myself, thinking
Same.
that something's wrong with me, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so it was really important that they got assessments. Everybody has been assessed, but my 14-year-old, um, I, I don't think she needs to be right now, but I'm still watching.
Mhm.
But turns out um, one child has ADHD, one child is autistic, and one child has ADHD and is autistic on the spectrum. And I'm just like, I'm glad that they found out sooner than later because I know how it feels to spend most of your life confused
Mhm.
and not
Yeah.
sure about what's really going on with you. So for and all of them are doing well, thankfully. However,
Mhm.
I just told them to use this as a source of empowerment. Nothing changes, you
Right.
know.
Right.
They're in school, they're doing well, but hey, get accommodations, seek accommodations, get
Mhm.
help,
Mhm.
speak up for yourself, learn how to advocate for yourself. When know that some of these things that you've been doing, because one of my children, she doesn't want to, don't touch her.
Mm.
And so what's so funny, she and I were talking yesterday. She was like, Mom, I was so confused because I don't like to be touched. And I was trying to figure out, did someone do something to me when I was little? And I'm
Mm.
like, well, if they did, it must have been at school somewhere because, they were really around me a lot.
Right.
And but that answers questions because she didn't realize, like, she was thinking, well, maybe something happened to me, the reason I don't want to be touched and,
Mhm.
things like that. But just knowing now, hey, I'm on the autism spectrum. And so it's answering a lot of questions for my children, which is, I'm thankful for because I know life is going to happen in their lives,
Mhm.
but to know this is, I think, uh quite helpful. So
My son, so I was diagnosed late. And I was finally, I went through years of being misdiagnosed as bipolar or even misdiagnosed as borderline. And I was like, I am not borderline. My mom, I'm not like my mom. And I know what borderline is. And then there was a moment where I was actually in rehab. And, I just, so I uh, completely crashed and burned and then started using alcohol to cope. Um, and I just struggled for a number of years to get sober. But in rehab, there was this one guy that, like the universe always sends us angels along the way. And they're usually people that just like they come in and out in a moment that he sat me down and he said, I think I described to him what I'd been through, and he goes, I think you have complex PTSD. And I was like, and he said, and I think you might have ADHD. And I was like, that was the first time I had ever heard of complex PTSD and ADHD. I mean, or even like had ADHD in reference to me. And that changed my life because I was finally able to. It's like when you figure out, we go through life thinking that there's something wrong with us, and this is sort of the bigger picture. Like our society and the world is set up so rigidly that anybody that's remotely outside of like the box is labeled as X, Y, and Z, and there's something wrong with you, and we suffer as people. We just suffer as human beings because we're all neurodivergent. We're all neurodivergent. Everybody has a thing. They talk about this is the only problem I have with labels. For me, it's good to find out, okay, so I have ADHD and there's something I can do about it. And I have complex PTSD. It's like, okay, that makes sense. But and I'm glad I can work towards that. But like, I still like, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me.
Exactly.
It's just a thing. Right. And on some ways it's a blessing because it's made me who I am today, and everything that I've gone through, all of the trauma, everything has made me who I am today. And I feel like honestly, like, that's why we're here on this planet, is just to overcome stuff and then help others. Like, that's it.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. And I'm like, I mean, to talk about what prompted this meeting.
Okay.
I'm now dealing with aging.
Okay, listeners. So
in society, and that blows.
Exactly. So again, I met Dorian. We met on TikTok, and she messaged me 3 of her videos, and I watched every single one of those videos. And when I watched those videos, I was like, I'm going to ask her if she wants to be a guest on the podcast, because she has a message and her voice needs to be heard. Oh my God. A puppy dog.
This is Tulip. She wanted to come up and say hi. Hi.
So I was just really moved by Dorian's vulnerability, her transparency, and how she was able to articulate how she felt as an aging woman. And it just penetrated my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, I get it. I understand this. And I'm quite sure there are so many other women who feel the same way, but on some level are ashamed and even embarrassed to speak about it. And I wanted to provide Dorian a platform to get that message out. And so other women will know that they are not alone. And so, hey, let's jump into aging.
Let's unpack that shit.
Yes, let's unpack that shit. And so I'm going to just let Dorian just talk from her heart, be as vulnerable and transparent as she would like to be on this podcast about what she experienced the other day, what was she experiencing, and provide us with some tools and tips. And so we're just going to unpack that shit about aging. Hey.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to go back and figure out, like, I don't believe we have breakdowns. I believe we have breakthroughs.
Okay, so if you can't see us, we're dancing. I know you can't see us, but Dorian started dancing, and then I started dancing. We were having a party, so hey.
And what's been happening is So before the pandemic, I was working and I was, I was like, I had my life, and then the pandemic hit. I mean, I know that every single mother out here can relate to this. We, as we do, as mothers do, and women do, we set our own needs aside, because when shit gets real, it's the women that step up to protect the babies, right? Every time. And and so I was like, when it hit, it's just like, okay, I take care of my son, and then there was the homeschooling and remote learning, and my son was really kind of crashing and burning with the remote learning. I have a partner, and he's great, but he's a dude, and he's not a parent. So the long story short is, I just literally I lost my work, and I lost myself, and I stopped exercising because I went into survival mode. And many of us who have PTSD or complex PTSD, we've got our survival mode, and I am really good. It's vets can understand this. In a crisis, you want me by your side in a crisis. Like when the zombie apocalypse, like you want me next to you, because like, but it's the daily things that tear me down. But so I was just like, all right, head down. And I lost myself. And the long story short is, I aged a lot physically, because I just stopped taking care of myself. My coping mechanisms were Netflix and eating. I quit smoking too.
Well, congratulations.
That was tough. And so I gained a lot of weight. I mean, I'm still thin, but for me, I've been a dancer all my life. So, I'm just like, and then so like within 2 years, I went from feeling like myself to just, just like hunched over, and everything, just, I don't know. I just aged a lot. Mm-hmm. Stress does that. And in trying to figure out what the pandemic's changed everything. Many of us have, so I'm sorry, I keep, so it's like, I had 4 things going on. I'm 50, so I also started menopause. So I have the pandemic, menopause. What else? Oh, the fucking world burning around us. With the last couple of years, like, I won't even go into that. But we literally, I'm in Santa Monica, and we had the National Guard with the protests going on, as the protests should be going on with BLM. They were literally right outside of our condo complex, and we had we had tanks going down. It was intense. So the PTSD was just like, yeah. So I just feel like I've just been through war, and I'm coming out of it now. And in trying to figure out what to do in this next chapter, I was just like, I've been on Facebook, and I write. I'm a writer, and I've been writing, and I do comedy. So I have a large following because I write. I'm a humorist. I write funny stuff. But I was like, all right, well, maybe getting back on camera. And I discovered, I was like, TikTok, when I first heard about TikTok, I was like,
same.
I'm a filmmaker. I do media.
What is that?
And then I started, my son was really into it. And I started, watching videos, just like, being in lockdown. And so I was like, Jesus, I can do this. I'm a trained actor. I'm an entertainer, and my partner and I are both literally filmmakers.
Oh, wow.
we make films.
Wow.
We have all of the equipment. We have so I was like, why? So I started looking into it. And then I filmed myself. And I saw myself on camera for the first time, because I've been avoiding that, because I've been running around in leggings, Costco leggings and t-shirts, sweats for the past 2 years. And I haven't taken care of myself. Like, I even stopped showering. Maybe, I used to, it's embarrassing, but I stopped doing I just stopped everything.
Thank you for sharing this. Thank you.
Because out of necessity, because it wasn't important. And I think that that's what the last couple of years is just, it's really the pandemic and everything that's happened. With the world sort of like crumbling, especially in the United States, there's a lot of stuff that should crumble. But it's stripping away everything that doesn't really matter.
Yes.
Right? But we're still trying to fit into it.
Would you please repeat what you just said?
The pandemic, it's like the world is going, the pandemic and everything that's happening, and I don't feel like it's a coincidence. I feel like whatever's going on in the world is literally stripping away everything that doesn't matter and putting the world's priorities, like forcing the world's priorities back into balance, because we're so out of balance.
Yes.
And it's hard for everybody, because everything that we have attached ourselves to, that in order to function in this world, none of it ultimately matters. Like the right hair, getting your nails, or the right job, or how much money you make. Like, capitalism is not bad, but it's out of balance, right? So everything's being stripped away, and we have to take a really hard look at what really matters.
Unpacking that shit. Yes.
But we're still like we're still sort of semi-operating how we were before all of this started happening. Unless you go completely off the grid, and which a lot of people are. The millennials are like, fuck this. Like, the Gen X and millennials are like, this is, like, I'm buying my land.
Exactly.
I'm getting my van. I'm going to Canada.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is happening? And the Gen Zs are like, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Anyway, so but what happened the other night was like, I went on TikTok, which is a new platform, and and I was like, as a woman, going through this next stage into the crone, the wise woman, wisdom, whatever. I'm still in that in-between stage where I'm still supposed to be fuckable.
Woo!
I'm still supposed to be fuckable. That's the pressure. I'm expected to be attractive and fuckable, even though, I've done my job. I procreated.
Oh, wow. You said a mouthful. Damn.
But I don't, that's why I was saying in the video, I just wish I could fast forward and be the cute grandma sitting in the corner, knitting. with wisdom.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because
That
this
is,
in-between stage is tough.
yes, that is so, that is powerful what you said. That we, are still supposed to present ourselves as fuckable. And the, my life right now is, listen, I'm at the point to where you can think I'm fuckable or not. I fuck with me. But right. I get it. I understand it. I was in a relationship, a 4-year relationship. It ended. And the beautiful thing, the gold that I discovered, because, as I talk about unpacking your shit, the ultimate thing is to discover your gold, because I believe that there is gold in that shit. And, and the gold is covered by trauma and low self-esteem and all kinds of other things. So, but we have a lot of gold, but the gold that ending that 4-year relationship, the gold that I discovered was that it really does feel good to be single. See, I come from a generation, and I'm quite sure you know that same generation, where we were taught that our identity was in men and having a partner and being in a relationship. So as I was evolving, I still held on to that belief, even though I was slowly but surely getting to the point to where I'm like, hey, this is me, blah, 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 blah. I wasn't as dependent upon men as I once was in my life. At one point in my life, I was very dependent. I just felt like I needed to have a man in my life. But even after getting to a point to where I didn't really feel like I needed a man in my life, I just was so used to having one in my life to, okay, am I making sense? So it's no longer that need, but I'm used to having them. So, so that's familiar for me.
Right.
So ending the relationship, and it didn't end on bad terms, thankfully, I was like, oh my gosh, this feels good. Like, absolutely no desire to be in a partnership with anyone right now. I'm not saying that I'll be like this forever, but just really like, it really fucking feels good to be single. To if I want to sit around and eat whatever I want to eat, which still, I'm into health, and it would benefit me if I would stop eating everything I want to eat, because it's, showing up in other areas. But anyway, it just feels good at this moment in my life to not be partnered up. And I never thought that I could feel this way. So this is all new to me. Because I've been partnered in a relationship, basically, once I got in one, I was always in one.
Right.
And so I'm not in one. It's a year, because we lived together for 4 years. I would say for 3.5 years, we were just friends, really. So I would say I've been single. We were in the same house, even in different rooms, had gotten to that point. So, but once we went our separate ways, I was like, oh, ain't no way in hell I'm getting into another relationship. Not right now. But to me, that's gold. And it took me years and years to get to this place. And I think that's another message that I would like for people to get out to people. As we evolve, things don't happen overnight. Some things might change immediately, but those things that have been instilled in us, it takes years. It could take years and years. So don't give up. Progress is progress. Baby steps are steps.
Yeah.
And although I was growing in each relationship, the growth didn't stop, even though I was in those relationships. But
Yeah.
the place that I think that I had always been trying to get to, I'm at that place right now, being
That's
single.
great. Yeah.
So
That's great.
I don't know how we got there, but anywho, we went there. So
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's like life. It's not about the destination. It just keeps
exactly.
going.
Exactly.
It's like literally the journey. I think that that's the biggest thing. If I were to tell younger people, like it's it's like just allow yourself to be human. Don't there are no destinations. Like, yeah, you set goals for yourself, and but it's constantly evolving. Like, it never life is all about, it's like being in this really strange school that never ends. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's terrible, sometimes it's dark. But the darkness is what I kind of liken it to, like being in an intensive program for evolution. Like, you're in advanced studies. Congratulations. You have your PhD in trauma.
Oh my
Yay.
gosh. Yeah.
You have evolved.
So what would you say one of your biggest challenges with aging? What would that be?
Well, for me personally, it's that the biggest part of my, or one of the biggest parts of my identity was literally how I looked. It's how I made my living. I was a model. I was an actress. It opened doors. I mean, I'm not saying that to brag. It's just, I was blessed and cursed with good looks,
Mm.
and it's a blessing and a curse. Everybody wants to be beautiful, and it's part of we talk about the digging for the gold, so to speak, is unfortunately the gold in women, the true gold, is not valued in our society. It's
I
not.
need you to say that one more time. Say it again, please.
when you're digging for the gold, like the gold that is actually what women have to offer, which is, it's just not valued in the world. because because a patriarchy, I love men, don't get me wrong, but the patriarchy is fucking evil.
It is.
It has thrown everything out of balance. So everything that is truly valuable in women is ignored or even shit upon. And as an aging woman in our world, we're even more invisible. So we get to a certain age, and we reach this level of wisdom and deep truth. Nobody wants to hear about it because we're not fuckable. So that's what I'm dealing with. Like, I'm going through, I know that, like, consciously I know that, but the way that I've operated in this world as a blonde, blue-eyed, attractive white woman, and I bring my race up because it's just, it's just there. I was privileged. I've had privilege, and it's a blessing and a curse, because the privilege gets in the way of, I had to have, when I crashed and burned and I became homeless and was basically on the streets and, picking cigarettes off the street. I'm not kidding, to smoke. I had to have, I went through, like, I had to have everything stripped away in order to really truly recognize my privilege as a, and it's getting back out, going back to why we started talking in the first place, that the videos I made were me. Yeah, so usually I write about, I'm very honest and open. I'm like, I've been raped. And I joke about it because my humor is my way of dealing. And I don't consider myself a victim. I'm a survivor. And that distinction is very important. But you know, I write about it, but I have hidden behind photos that I retouch, and hidden behind filters. And I went on TikTok and I realized everything, like my demon, those voices in the head of not being good enough, not being young enough, not being thin enough, not being enough. Everything is wrong, and especially with the ADHD brain, and then especially PTSD, is it gets to, you start to catastrophic thinking, and I started spiraling into just being really faced all of a sudden with everything that I had been suppressing the last couple of years, which is, who am I now? Who am I outside of being a mom? Who am I outside of being a partner? Who am I? Who am I as an aging woman now in our world? Who am I? And I had to be, and I've been, it like, it hit me all, like the aging. It's like, you can't, that's what was really hitting me. It's like, I had been putting my head in the sand about aging, about, you know, like everything that was going on. And because, and it just hit me, the inevitability. You can't, it happens. And it's sort of like it's like finding out that you have a terminal illness. And that's why I was talking about the stages of grief, because and I'm not to liken, you know, aging and losing identity and looks to death, but it felt like that. It's like an ego death. And that's what's going on. My ego is dying.
Oh, yes.
And I have to, and it just so I made the videos because I was like, well, my boyfriend came in and he said, well, why don't you blog about it? Why don't you write about it? What's going on for you? And I'm a little bit extra. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, like, you know, turn on the camera and just go there.
You went there
in that moment to fit. And it's just like, this is me, this is raw, this is woman. And every single, I live in Los Angeles, which is the height of, you know, youth, beauty, narcissism, all of it. And all of my female friends around my age are even younger, like, Jesus, feeling like they are not good enough and have no value because of these, like, just unrealistic, crazy standards that are put on us women, you know, from the time we hit puberty.
You said something very powerful when you said the gold or the value that we as women do possess, that those are the things that people don't value.
No.
I have a question. How can we change the narrative? What can we do to start changing the narrative where that value can show up and people can see it? And I mean, it's nothing wrong with being beautiful. If you're beautiful, you're beautiful. I mean, hey, you can't prevent that. You understand what I'm saying? You were born that way. However, how can the narratives change with I'm beautiful, your beauty is on display, as well as though as the other gold, because they can work, it can work together.
Yeah.
You know, what would you say? How can we start changing the narrative?
I think we need to educate. We need to start educating um, primarily men and women. We need to like the more women. Sisterhood is so important. Like the more, and societies used to be like this, especially back, in the old days with matriarchy. Is the women coming together is like just an incredible, powerful force. But it's also about educating the men, um, because they don't know what they don't know, right? And changing society overnight is not going to happen. But what we can do slowly, which I see happening with the BLM movement, and the fact that the gender nonconformity, and which I love. I mean, I love Gen Z. I love them. They are so great because they're like, fuck your labels. I don't care.
Exactly. Yes.
I love them. And so we see that, incrementally it's getting better, but we need to educate dudes about valuing women and girls more than what they look like or whether or not they're fuckable. And just like, and then slowly over time, society will switch that up. But we also need to support girls and women to like, hey, don't plug into it. Don't plug into it. Like I would tell the younger women and the girls, don't don't plug into like your value being based upon how you look or how many men you can pull. And full disclosure, I'm well, this is the funny thing about the labels is, so I came out as bisexual and in 1990, and that wasn't accepted by either community. So I went back in the closet and became a lesbian and then came back out again and started dating a dude. But long story short is I considered myself, and then I stopped labeling myself. So I guess these days I would be considered pansexual. And the reason I bring that up is that the being fuckable is in all communities.
Ooh.
So I'm not, I mean, it's a little bit less than in the lesbian community or the gay community. Still there.
You know what? This is a great conversation to have.
And that's messed up.
To have with my daughter, because my daughter, she came out. I tease her. I'm like, you didn't come out to me because I've known forever. Like, right. So I was just waiting on you to tell me when you feel comfortable. But hey, this is a really good. I'm gonna have this conversation with her. And that she and I, let me tell you something. We go there. She's the child. I have 5. They all have different personalities. But she is so raw and hardcore. She is just like her mama in that area. I can't wait until we have that conversation. But oh wow, coming out in 1990 and then going back in the closet.
I came out to my family 3 times, and by the 3rd time they were like, "We don't care." Stop coming out. We just don't care anymore. Like, just date whoever you want. God, you're exhausting.
Exactly. Hell, it is what it is. And that's what I communicate with my children. Listen, I am open. I just want my children to be happy. I want them to be safe. I am an ally.
Mhm.
I hey, I just give zero fucks. I just believe in
Mhm.
letting people do what is best for them. And
Same. Yeah.
um, it's very important for me. I have a child that is gay, and she will never, ever, as long as I am alive, have to
Mhm.
worry about if does her mother love or accept her. Oh,
Oh,
oh, let me tell
I
you
love
something.
that. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hell,
Love
I am, and I told her, I said, I'm so proud of you. And I'm
that.
proud of her because she came out,
Mhm.
she- and she's owning who she is.
Mhm.
She is unapologetic about who she is. And when she came out, I told all of my other children, nobody better fuck with her.
Oh.
Listen, don't fuck
Yeah.
with her because you go because
Yeah.
don't do it. But
Yeah.
I don't. Why I said that I don't know because they adore her. Like
Mhm.
there is like we we are so open minded and free spirited and loving here, even with all of the trauma and shit that we've
Mhm.
gone through. And I
Mhm.
even have to admit, as a parent, I know that I fucked up in a lot of areas
Yeah.
because
So
of
did I.
trying parenting and having children, not having dealt with my childhood trauma and all of that stuff. So yeah, I know that I unfortunately have traumatized them as well. But
Yeah.
I provide them with tools and resources to get help. I've apologized. We
Mhm.
have very um we have courageous conversations where
Mhm.
I just call myself out, and I
Mhm.
literally admit what I know I did not do or I did could that was not good or helpful for them. So I'm not saying that we are just this perfect family, hell no, but
Nobody does.
we just we come together and we support each other and we love each other, and all of us are allies.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's as parents, it's important to um it's really important. I've messed up with my son so much, especially back when I was trying to get sober. He wasn't around. I did. It was good that he wasn't around the real struggle, but I messed up with him, and I think it's really important to show our kids that it's okay to admit, to be accountable. In
Yeah,
fact, not only is it okay, and to admit that you're wrong and make amends, but it like it transforms you.
right. I
You
think
know.
it's healing. It helps them heal
Hmm.
because I don't want when I leave here for my children to say, you know, my mom never apologize or this. I think it will make the healing process for them easier having had their mom admit and own and take accountability and let them know that to actually hear me say to them, it was not your fault. You were
Exactly.
not the problem. It
Yeah.
was me. It was my trauma. And I've told all of my children,
Hmm.
my trauma is not yours to carry. Give it
Right.
back to me. It doesn't belong to you. My shit is my shit, not yours. So
Right.
do not carry my shit. Let me carry my own shit. Whatever you thought was your fault or you were the cause of it, no, that was my shit. Give it back to me. Don't
Yeah.
you carry it.
Hmm. Like I'm tearing up because absolutely, I've said the same thing to my son. Um, I mean, I just said, look, I grew up with an emotional child as a parent. Like I took care of her, and I said, I don't want you to feel like you ever have to take care of me
Mm.
emotionally, especially like even when I get old, like if I I'm perfectly happy if you stick me away in, some nature oriented assisted living somewhere. I'd be perfectly happy. Like, I'll just be on TikTok.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, you can live your life. I'll be making videos in my walker. Because it's not a child's responsibility to live our lives for us.
Thank you. It is not.
It's and that was like, there's so much generational trauma on top of our personal trauma.
It's in our DNA.
It's in our DNA. And I think that's why so many people have issues with boomers, because they won't take responsibility or be accountable. That's a generalization, but for the most part, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather be right than happy.
Whoa.
Damn. That's the curse of their generation, is like, whereas our generation and younger, like, that's the irony. Is the key to life is would you rather be right than happy? Like, drop the rock, like, just let it go and be accountable and take responsibility. It doesn't kill you to admit you're wrong.
Exactly. And when it comes to our children, my 27-year-old daughter, and I told her this, I said, you got the worst of me, because she got most of me, the unhealed me.
Right.
And I told her this. I told her that. I said, you got the worst of me. She did get the best of me too, because she was my first. So you know how the people joke, and they're like, your first child, that's the one, all of the pictures, this and that, blah, 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 blah. And then the more you have, all of that kind of like ceases. But I told her, I said, you unfortunately got the worst of me. And I said, you also got a lot of me. Mm-hmm. And but she called me this week, and we were talking, and she said, Mom, I'm so proud of you. And I said, thank you. So there is power when you admit to your children you're wrong, and you apologize to them, and you take accountability. Mm-hmm. There is power in that. And I also communicated with all of my children. I was like, listen, if ever in your life you feel like you need to take a step back from me so you can heal, do that. Because your healing is important to me. I love you enough to say, if you don't want to deal with me for a while, because this particular thing is just really nagging at you, and you need to heal from it. I said, do it, because your well-being means everything to me. It'll hurt me, but you being healthier than me, is what I want. I know life is going to, have its way with you in ways that don't even involve me. However, if I don't want them to carry, that trauma, it took me years to get to where I am today. Years. And I don't want it to have to take them as long as it took me.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. My worst fear is for my son to go through anything that.
Whew.
I think it's for my son to go through anything, the stuff that I went through, and he's as a man or a boy, I mean, he's going to go through a different journey, but I think also what's interesting is that the white cis male, straight male, they're kind of in this space of like, they've been knocked off the top of the food chain, although they're still there, whatever. But but like Gen Z, these boys, they don't know what to do because they're like, there's no, the now that they're knocked off of that, they're like, okay, but how do I act now? How do I be?
Oh,
that's his journey. That's why it's not to say that things are like, oh, bad, so tough for the white boys. It's just there isn't enough education or support to show them, okay, I don't want to be the dickhead out, like alpha dude anymore. But there isn't enough to show them how to be in the world. So that's his thing. That's what. But one of my worst fears is that he goes through or has to, because I've had a tough life, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Seriously. I'm grateful. I've had a lot of blessings in my life. But the stuff that I've gone through, I mean, I was like almost killed by my through domestic violence. He pulled a gun on me and pistol whipped me in the head and tried to, I mean,
wow.
being homeless, like just beaten down so badly by life and my choices that I tried to take my, not fully, I didn't want to die, but I tried to take my life, or thought. I was cry for help twice. I've been through it, and I wouldn't. I hope I burned off enough of the generational family karma. I'm like, maybe like Jesus on the cross, like, have I burned off enough? Like, can he just have like, I pray every night that he has an easy life. Mm-hmm. I don't want him to suffer. Mm-hmm. But I also, as a mom, I think all parents don't want their children to suffer unless they're unless the parents are really messed up in the head. But life is about suffering, because that presents the challenges that help us evolve. Mm-hmm. So I know he's going to have that.
Right.
I just hope it's not as intense as what I went through.
And I think for us, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this, but I do believe what we're saying too is that we know that they're going to go through shit. Life is going to challenge them, but mm-hmm. we do not want most of that shit that they go through to be because of what we've inflicted upon them.
Oh God, no.
And so that's the power in mm-hmm. when you have children and you know that there are things you need to take accountability for, do it, and mm-hmm. do it as quickly as possible. Because if you can get it as quickly as possible, once you recognize it mm-hmm. and they heal from it, it's great. But to already go through the shit that the world is going to throw at you, and then you're trying to heal from the shit that you went through as a child with a right. parent or both parents, that combined can be a disaster.
Yeah.
And so that is basically like, I know my children, I know life is life. You can't avoid life. Shit happens in life. But to arm them with the power to hear my voice, to have heard their mother say, it was not you. You don't own that.
Right.
That for me makes it easy, not as difficult for them to overcome. But to have never heard that, because for me, I think I know I was carrying my mom's trauma and pain.
Yeah.
And let's not even talk about my father, because hell, he didn't know I existed. So that's a whole nother story. So, but I know I carried a lot of my mom's trauma and pain. And because all my life I had never heard her own up to it, battling that, working through that. But there is power. Parents, if you're listening and you need to own up to something, take accountability for it, do it. You have no idea how much it will empower your child or children's lives and help them. So, but this has been a great conversation.
Yeah. I'm so happy I met you.
Let the audience know where they can find you, what social media platforms they can find you on, and also leave some words of some encouragement, some motivation, and some inspiration before we wrap this up.
Oh gosh. No pressure.
No pressure at all.
Well, first of all, just to where you can find me. I mean, I'm on Facebook a lot, and I'm, a lot of people our age are on Facebook. Most of my posts though are humorous, although I do talk about things. I'm on TikTok, at Dorian Beach. That's my name. It's there. I mean, that's it so far. You can Google me. It's like at this point, because I've been out there, like I don't have anything to hide. So, I'm not worried. I've been through my worst fears, and I'm not worried about people. Sorry, I'm rambling.
Don't apologize. I understand.
No, I don't like talking about myself. Words of encouragement. I think, let me think. I think especially if you're, for the women in your audience, is truly be gentle with yourself. Words of encouragement. There's always hope. No matter what you're going through, there's always hope. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. If I can survive what I've been through and come out the other side, and, literally walk through hell and come out the other side, so can you. And in terms of, and just for truly for the women, is just love yourself, love every curve, love every line, appreciate yourself. And that gold that's in you is valuable, more valuable than you or anybody else knows. And especially, and even if the world is not valuing it, more and more people will. More and more people will. And I don't know. Is that enough?
That is great.
You're enough. The way you're just enough. There's nothing wrong. You're great. Like, women are amazing.
Wow.
Seriously.
Yes, we are. We really are. And I think more and more of us are starting to realize that. We are starting to realize that there is more to us than how we look. And it is definitely not something that we're going to get to overnight, because there's so much unpacking that has to go on. But as you said earlier, it is happening. Slowly but surely, things are changing. And I think voices like yours are important to hear. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think your message is amazing, and that's why I invited you to be a guest on this podcast, because I think that you have a lot of value, and you said you were vulnerable on your TikTok videos, and I know that even people that watched your video and didn't respond, I know that they were stirred or, they had something to think about. You did what you did was courageous, because even as we age as women, what I've realized is that people don't want us to talk about aging. They don't want us to have conversations like you had. They want us to be hush hush. They want us to just sit back, be quiet, and not share the journey, and continue to try to be fuckable, to continue to try to fit in. And they don't want us to have those conversations. They want to keep us silent. So for me, you having that conversation was a bold and badass move for me, because I don't think, even women, I think we are ashamed. We don't want to talk about it. We want to keep hush hush. We want to pretend like everything is okay when it really isn't.
No, like, I know that, and that's the whole thing. Is like, fuck that. That was what I was really responding to, was like walking out into the world. And I would try to explain this to my boyfriend. It used to be that I would go out into the world, and again, this isn't about like attention or whatever. It's, I would go out into the world and I would be listened to or whatever. These days, as a middle-aged mom going out in the world, I'm invisible. People look past me. They don't want to hear what I have to say. And that's exactly what you're saying. They don't want us to be talking about this. They don't want it. But I'm like, no, fuck that. We're going to talk about that because it's wrong. Because of all the people that have the most to offer the world, especially right now with everything that's going on, are the women, the older women.
Yes.
Because we are especially in our age group, we are the voices of wisdom and sanity and balance, and like, we're going to be the ones that help to carry this world into hopefully a better future.
And we will be,
but they don't want to listen to us.
Right. And we will be seen. We will be seen. Somebody is going to see us. We will be seen. And the one thing that I realized too is that there is nothing wrong with wanting to be seen. Everybody wants to be seen in some form or fashion. There is no sin in that. There is nothing wrong with that. We get on TikTok. Why do I make videos? Because I want people to see them.
Right.
And so all of us want to be seen, and there is nothing wrong with wanting to be seen. We are not invisible. I don't care how old we get. We still have a voice. We still deserve the platform. We still deserve to be seen. And damn it, what we're doing is saying, here I go.
Right.
I'm here. You might not like it. You might think I'm too old. You see all of this gray in my hair, or whatever. If you don't like it, bye. Somebody
move on.
Yeah, somebody's gonna watch it.
Okay, little Twinkie. Go on.
What you're not going to do is make me go and hide myself and dim my light because you have a problem with my gray hair, or you have a problem with my wrinkles, or you see a chin hair. You're not going to embarrass me or make me feel bad about it.
Right.
Here I go.
Right.
See me? And if you don't want to, you know what the fuck to do. Keep it moving.
And you know what? Like, it 99% of the time, or 98% of the time. Well, no, let's be honest. Okay. 75% of the time, I feel that way. But there's the 25% where the bad days, and that was where I feel where being laughed at for being and it, like, because that's what I was saying in the videos, like, that girl, all stages of my life, all of those girls, those young women, they're still there.
Yes.
They're still there. All of the things, my dreams, my youthful dreams have not gone away. Now, I probably won't be a Broadway star now, probably, but it's still there. And but it's it's going back to, not only do we have a voice, but we have the voices that people should be listening to right now.
Yes, that's it. And you know what, I love your
right
honesty,
there.
Your honesty when you were like 99, oh no, 95, oh fuck it, 75% of the time. And I love that, because in this world, people, listen, you can have confidence out your ass today and don't feel confident at all the next day, or even 30 minutes. You can feel confident right now, and then 30 minutes from now, you're dealing with not feeling confident. And so I just like that honesty. That makes me tick, because people need to see that. They need to understand that, listen, yeah, I'm having a moment, and I'm going to have more of these moments, because I'm fucking human.
Right.
Don't expect me to have this badass, tenacious attitude every time you see me.
No, I mean, that was one of the things things I'll say about TikTok is, it's really great to see all of the people on there who are like, you can't bring me down. You're like, fuck you, like, and they have the attitude. That's great. But what happens off camera? What happens if they get a bad comment? And I think that's also the reason why I posted the videos I did, was like, we need to show vulnerability, because honestly, that's what's going to really impact people. Is being vulnerable, not in your face, like, you can't get to me. Okay, that's good. But guess what? They're going to, it's going to sneak in, because we're only human. And I want you to know that it's okay to feel bad for a moment. You don't have to take on what they're saying, but it's okay to be vulnerable. So it's okay.
This sucks. It doesn't feel good. That was a shitty comment. And that comment made me feel bad. I felt a certain way, but you know what? Guess what? I felt that way, and I'm gonna just keep moving on. I love that. Oh my gosh, I thrive off of that. I thrive off of just being honest about how I feel.
Yeah.
Even when I'm coaching people, I would tell people, I'm not a glamour coach. And for me, the reason I show up the way that I show up, a lot of times just raw and not made up and shit, because I can get clean when I want to.
Right.
But it's just like, I just want people to realize, sometimes coaches give people unrealistic expectations. This picture of, I'm always smiling, and good, and hey, and I'm just like, that is not real. That is not real. And you are not going to be coached by me and given unrealistic shit, because we're living in a real life. Somebody reached out to me and asked me, they said they wanted to learn how to, I think, did they say they just wanted to always smile? Like, and I said, that's impossible.
No.
I said, I can't coach
that's
you.
Exhausting.
Yes. I said, that's not real. I can't help you with that. But what I can do is help you come up with tools and resources to help you when you don't feel like smiling.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I can help you tap into your gold, because as a coach, I don't tell you how to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
You come to me for me to help you tap into your gold, so I can help you create or map out a blueprint that can be changed, because we're ever evolving, that is going to work for you where you are in your life at that moment.
Right.
No fairy tale shit.
No. Like toxic positivity is as detrimental as abuse.
Yes.
Because it takes away you're expected to be inauthentic, like joyously happy. And that's one of the things, like, I've been on a spiritual path for a very, very long time. I've studied with shaman and done a lot of like crazy things. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you stories, but that's one of the problems I have with the self-help spiritual community, is like, and they come in, they're like, feeling the joy, like a constant, it's like, we're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to, and then I'm going to like get my anti-vax message in there. Sorry. By the way, if you're an anti-vaxxer, sorry.
Hey, check. Sorry. No. Don't apologize.
Oh, that wasn't you. I wasn't flipping you off. I was flipping them off.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
I know that. But this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up and being vulnerable. And we talked about everything, but hey, both of us have ADHD. And if you're listening to this conversation, this showing up, don't expect for us to continue where we started off at. You can expect for us to go everywhere, but there is still value in all of the places that we visited today. So thank you.
We should create a flow chart of all of the different topics that we covered. It'd be like twisting like mangled yarn.
But I think there was gold and value in everything that we discussed today. And thank you for showing up. Thank you for your message. And I definitely look forward to connecting with you again in some form or fashion. And
Absolutely.
Okay. So this has been an episode of the She Free Thinks podcast. Thank you for listening. Bye.